Welcome to Moving as a Crew. The 3 videos in this series explain British rowing technique and aim to show how to row effectively and with good distance per stroke. Now, there's quite a lot of content. Feel free to pause, rewind, or watch it through more than once. And remember that even the national team members in the video still have plenty to work on themselves. Now, knowing how to move together is essential for crew boats, and it feels great when it's working well. But the crew weigh 5 to 7 times more than the boat. So if the people don't move well together, the effect on the boat speed is really detrimental. Because the stroke is a constantly repeating cycle, it helps to have some timing points to make sure you all move as one and also with the boat. So we'll look at these key themes. 4 main phases of the recovery and drive, useful reference points, posture and positions, balance and feel. So, speaking of those phases, there are 2 which apply to the drive and 2 for the recovery. And all 4 of them together give a really good structure to the stroke and work for all levels of rower. The drive is made up of pushing and pulling, but we have to be careful about terminology because first pull is from the trunk, not from the arms. So opening or extension of the hips and trunk are perhaps better phrases to use. In the recovery, the first phase is for the rower to reset their upper body position and body weight, and the second phase is for the boat, which should run underneath your legs and bring you back to the entry position. So the simple stages are push, open, recover, and glide. But we also need to think about how much to push and when to open during the drive, and what the initial recovery position actually looks like. Now, there are 2 useful reference positions you can check. The first is mid-slide in the recovery, and the second is mid-legs during the drive. And it's interesting to see in these 2 still shots that the first recovery position is very similar to the first drive position. You can see that the handle is across the lower shins and the trunk angle is forward in both pictures. This tells us that the rower has set the arms and trunk angle early in the recovery and will avoid unwanted movement at the catch. And also that they're using the legs to begin the stroke in the water, not the body. Now, good posture is very much part of that first recovery phase, so the rower can maintain control to the entry point, and even more importantly, when connecting at the catch. Good posture means sitting tall but not rigid in the lower back. And it means having relaxed shoulders and elbows. A useful tip when rocking over is to feel it low down in the tailbone, and the wheels of the seat may even roll a little to the bows as the body rocks forward towards the stern. Here are some typical angles to use as a reference. How far to sit back and rock over. And also for overall stroke arcs. But of course, rowers are different shapes and sizes, so your coach will give you feedback on the best setup for you and your crew. Well-organised movements create a sense of order and time, and this helps the crew stay in sync. So try not to add extra unnecessary movement. And remember that you can only make each movement once. So for instance, if you open the trunk angle at the catch, you can't use it again from mid-stroke where it's actually needed. In terms of balance and feel, there are some additional reference positions which help keep the crew together. At the finish, things are stable and mostly visible. The body movements are complete and there's a sense of time. A key reminder is to keep the stretcher pushed out and the handle pressed in until the pressure in the spoon slackens, and then the hands can deal with leaving the water and beginning the recovery. The other useful reference positions to practice are quarter slide for body preparation, three-quarter slide for blade preparation, the arrival and entry, and the peak force position in the drive. And these can all be checked with video, and if done over a range of stroke rates, it's quite easy to see if technique changes or deteriorates. Quarter slide is one we looked at earlier, with the handle well beyond the knees and the knees unlocked. But we also need to look at where the body weight is positioned as well, because while scullers will rock over along the midline of the boat, sweepers need to split to each side and set the balance. A simple way to do this is to rock off backstops in a small diagonal so that your sternum is tilted towards your inside knee. Left for bow side, right for stroke side. And this is better than thinking about turning, twisting, or rotating, which can bring complications. And if bow side and stroke side make this simple early split of weight, the balance is set, and it should stay set as the boat brings the stretcher to you. Three-quarter slide is a useful reference point because it checks the blade approach for the start of the next stroke. It should be possible to be on square blades at three-quarter slide, but if the hands rise too early, they have to dip again to square the oar. So pause drills at three-quarter slide help check the handle heights, and also check that the chest and shoulders are in balance and not dipping. The arrival is not an easy place to pause, so exercises like dips, roll-ups, or continuous legs-only rowing are very useful for practicing how to hold the upper body still and keep the arms loose. From legs-only rowing, it's quite easy to build pressure and add just the very first part of the trunk to the legs to achieve the correct peak force position. It makes sure that everyone pushes the right amount and then begins to open together. All of these positions can be checked using video, but remember, rowing needs two things, mechanics and feel. So having looked at what to do, we need to think about the how as well. And visual cues are a good place to start. You can see the heads in front, shoulders, outside arm, or seat of the person ahead, and perhaps the spoons too. So eyes shut rowing is one way to see how well tuned in people are to each other and the boat. Then there are blade drills like square blades, inside hand off, or sculling with the hands down the handles, which all create mastery with the oars and the feel of their weight and balance. Whatever the skill you want to improve, remember to stage your drills. Start easy so you can get it right, perhaps low rate or with just half the crew rowing. And then with moderate challenge to see if the technique stays or break down. So maybe whole crew drills or adding power or rowing at mid-rate. Next comes difficult, doing skillful drills but at higher speeds. And lastly, overskill. Test your crew mastery by doing several drills together, like eyes shut and feet out, square blades, pauses, or whatever you can dream up. So the overall aim is to use the clear reference points in the stroke to give a structure or framework to the technique, but then have the mastery to bring it to life. If you have control of yourself, then you have control of time, and then you can really work together as a team. Finally, let's summarize some points. Moving as a crew needs well-organized movement sequences and clear reference points. So, in the drive, push together first and then open. And in the recovery, you recover first with the arms and the trunk, and then the boat recovers under you. Try to minimize unnecessary upper body movements at the front. Try to develop feel by being relaxed, especially in the arms and shoulders, and use pause drills and eyes shut rowing to build confidence. So I hope you found this guidance useful on moving as a crew. please check out the other 2 videos in this series and have fun practicing these themes.